First and foremost, mourning and grief in Kharkiv region. Yesterday, Russia killed 11 more Ukrainian civilians and wounded 30 more. I have no words to describe what is happening there in Kharkiv. I'm at loss of words, literally, a city that means a lot to me personally. In easy terms, people are dying there, over and over and over again. There are solutions, actually, that can save lives. Additional air defense systems capable of intercepting ballistic targets, for example. If Western authorities were waiting for a sign to finally allow Western weapons to strike deep into the aggressor's territory and hit legitimate military targets, then maybe these innocent civilians added to a Russian death toll in Ukraine could be taken as that sign, I hope. After sitting on military aid for months and then finally delivering it, but delaying its proper full-bodied use while we in Ukraine are literally bleeding to death, I'm sure the Kremlin is just happy about the turn. Now, hello. Now on more news in today's wrap-up on UATV English, doing what we do best, that is breaking hard truth in easy terms for the whole free world directly from Ukraine. Iranian president's death confirmed. The helicopter went down because of probably foggy weather and pilot's mistake. Let us spend a minute remembering the man of the day, former Attorney General of Iran, Vladimir Putin's friend and ally, famous for waving the Quran while speaking from the United Nations podium and constantly repeating Iran is against double standards, was Ibrahim Raisi after all. In 1988, when Iran was executing thousands of political prisoners, the president of Iran, Ibrahim Raisi, headed the committee, later called the Death Committee. Raisi personally supervised the executions of Iranians, including 13-year-olds who were hanged from construction cranes by 6 children at a time. Ibrahim Raisi's nickname ever since was the Butcher of Tehran, and he threw parties after these executions to mark the event properly. The exact number of Raisi's religious Puritan regime's death toll is unknown. The Telegraph pub, though, writes about 30,000. Knowing Raisi, he would not stop even at 300,000, but foggy weather and a helicopter decided otherwise. Anyway, Raisi's bloodthirst is understood by his counterparts and friends and close allies, by the way, dictator Vladimir Putin. The two had lots in common, but common sense. Both were obsessed by the idea of dictating their will upon others, under the disguise of traditional values. Of course, traditional Iranian values included violence against women, under the disguise of these very values, slavery under disguise of stability, war under the disguise of national interests. The last two are maybe even more common for Russia, just by the way. Raisi's unbridled intransigence, his absolute intolerance and inhumane attitude to human values made him a close ally and a friend to many dictators, including that of Russia. Vladimir Putin openly accepted this kind of friendship. Russia and Iran signed a 20-year strategic agreement already in 2001, well before the invasion of Ukraine. On 18th January 2024, a new 20-year comprehensive cooperation agreement was signed between the Islamic Republic of Iran and Putin's Federation of Russia, if you will, replacing that 10-year agreement signed in March 2001, which was extended twice, by the way, by 5 years each, and renewed the cooperation between the tyrannies, in particular in the defense and energy sectors. That means drones for Russia, nuclear weapons for Iran, oil for both, and, of course, power. Absolute and unquestionable political power united the two. Originally, economically and politically, Iran and Russia should not be too close to each other, but what pushed them closer together is the mutual alienation from the civilized world, as civilization is the first enemy of any dictatorship. So today it is fair to say Putin lost a powerful ally, and it would surely make his tyranny harder to steer, which makes it good news for everyone who is against the tyranny. It was the defense of Mariupol. Azovstal is the name of the metallurgical plant where Ukrainian fighters were from February 24th to May 20th, 2022. 86 days, that is, 82 of which completely surrounded by Russians. Ukrainian soldiers, despite the insufficient ammunitions, everything, arms, ammunition, medical supplies, steadfastly restrained the enemy, doing all possible, or rather impossible, thus drawing back Russian forces from southern front. Defenders of Azovstal only left their positions on the order of the president of Ukraine 2 years ago.
Ти завжди ризикуєш. Головне усвідомити, чи прораховані всі ризики.
You always take risks. The main thing is to realize whether all the risks have been calculated, whether plan B has been worked out, whether you have fully committed yourself to this plan, which should combine the fulfillment of the task and the maximum preservation of the life and health of the personnel. Everything should be questioned, every decision made, every plan, every operation. Perhaps that is why war is an art, not a science. When you have completed the task and kept the maximum number of personnel, this is the highest level of military management. Moreover, when your decision is approved by the highest military leadership.
Wherever you live, whatever you do for living, you should know someone who you can probably call a hero. Now go out there and try to explain to someone you don't know in person why he should also consider the person you know talking about now as a hero, just as well as you do. This is not an easy task, but I'll take my chances. And I believe the best way to prove someone is a hero is to show how their enemy is treating them. The way Russians treated Ukrainian fighters of Azovstal during the captivity is the best marker, I suppose. And the explosions in the Olenivka prison where the defenders were held also. The Russians were afraid of Ukrainian heroes even when they were in captivity. Same story was with the defenders of Azovstal. And that's why more and more evidence of prisoners' execution is floating on the surface these days. Both soldiers and civilians were killed by Russians. All will be remembered and all will be recalled after the liberation of all Ukrainian territory. And exactly so there will be no more such awful executions our Ukrainian fighters are fighting today. In February this year, Lieutenant Colonel Denis Prokopenko, with the nickname Redis, commander of the Azov 12th Special Operations Brigade of the National Guard of Ukraine, stated that over 900 Azov fighters who had defended Mariupol in spring 2022 remain in Russian captivity. And we will do everything possible to get our boys back. The closer we get to May 20th, when the 5-year term of President Volodymyr Zelenskyy ends, the more actively this topic is discussed in the media, internationally and nationally. Also in Russian and pro-Russian, of course, media. Well, in Ukraine, I believe it's good because it is a democracy. And democracy is exactly this, discussion. Public and not biasly restrained, that much is clear. But how should the outer world treat the absence of a constitutional presidential ballot during a martial law? Well, the world should treat it just the way it treated the constitutional ballot that made Zelenskyy president. Constitution first. Constitution is the law, so let the law speak.
Under martial law, the following are prohibited: conducting elections of the President of Ukraine, as well as elections to the Verkhovna Rada of Ukraine, the Verkhovna Rada of the Autonomous Republic of Crimea, and local self-government bodies, from the law of Ukraine on the legal regime of martial law.
I'm not going to talk about, for example, how we're supposed to even make sure all these international surveyors for the presidential ballot are going to come over to our country at war, and how, for God's sake, Ukrainian authorities must ensure their safety. I'm not there to say, no, it is impossible and absolutely impossible to organize the ballot during martial law in Ukraine. Well, it is possible. Very hard technically, next to impossible financially and politically, but still possible. Russians would want that very much, because it would distract the Ukrainian authorities and the main Ukrainian society from the most obvious reasons: the genocidal war of Russia against Ukraine. When they are waging a genocidal war against you, it is not actually the time for elections, isn't it?
It was most encouraging to observe the wide range of consensus which emerged. This is especially so in the context of the number of strategic contextual decisions agreed by every faction and the determination to work as united as possible for the realization of Ukraine's Euro-Atlantic policy objectives. I am also very pleased that the factions have agreed on the principles of holding future free and fair national parliamentary and president elections after the end of the war and martial law. Pat Cox, President of the European Parliament, 2002-2004.
But then again, it is very good that people are discussing the theme and are asking hard questions. But we have answers already here at UATV English. The Institute of Lawmaking and Scientific Legal Expertise of the National Academy of Science assessed the legal phenomenon of 20th of May. Here is the resume. The Institute emphasizes that the duties of the President of Ukraine after May 20, 2024 must be performed by the current president elected in 2019. So Zelenskyy is the president not only because he wants, oh yes, he wants it, I'm sure of that, and nothing bad about that. Zelenskyy is the president of Ukraine and remains one, despite what his mind, hers, or anyone else's wish or opinion or desire there is. Since May 20th, 2024, Volodymyr Zelenskyy is the legitimate president of Ukraine because so says the law. As simple as that. And if you don't like the fact that Volodymyr Zelenskyy is the president of Ukraine, so don't talk to Ukrainians. You better talk to Russians. Let them withdraw all the troops from Ukrainian territory, and then the people of Ukraine will definitely decide who their president is in a new ballot, in peaceful and, most importantly, safe presidential ballot. This is it for tonight. However, more to come surely already tomorrow. For news on Ukraine, please stay with us. Ukraine. Choose UATV English for hard truth to be put in easy terms. Like, share, subscribe and comment. Your opinion matters a lot indeed, as it helps Ukrainian voice to be heard worldwide. Please stay safe, tune and stand with Ukraine. See you very soon.